Welcome back. Glad to have you all with us this week. This week I have a great safety message for you. It's really basic and fundamental to industries across the world. It's called Uncompromised Life Safety Rules. I'll say it one more time. Every industry should have this across the board. So these are uncompromised life safety rules that should be part of every safety program. Some might even call it common sense, but wouldn't you believe that it's some of those common sense procedures and policies, some of those common sense rules that we sometimes blatantly ignore that cause us our first aids, our lost times, our recordables, and even death, our fatalities. So rule number one, as simple as this sounds, absolutely no drugs and alcohol when you cross our guard check and come to work for us. None whatsoever. Have our systems clean. I guess what you do on your own time at night is what you do on your own time at night, but when you come to work for us, let's have our blood clean and no drugs or alcohol in our system. And let's make sure that we take care of our buddies. It's got to be part of a process. It's part of basketball teams. It's part of the rules here at the house, at the farm. No drugs and alcohol allowed. Principle number two, lockout, tagout. Don't ever undo a locked out, tag out situation or a situation that's been isolated for safety and undo that without the proper knowledge beforehand of why it's been tagged out or why it's locked out. Always ask somebody, make sure you have the proper information. We lose people every day and have first aids and recordables every day due to lack of lockout, tagout. Principle number three, so let's just call it rule number three. Fall protection. When working at heights, make sure, gentlemen and ladies, that we are tied off properly, that we have the proper lanyards on for the proper weight, that we are tied up above us and we are tied off to something that can hold our weight and that has been measured and assessed by somebody else as a lockout, tagout proper procedure. We just lost a life this past week due to the improper use of fall protection. He was tied off. He just wasn't tied off to the proper cable. He was tied off to a rusty cable which broke when he fell, and he fell 40 feet to his fatal death. And so we need to make sure that we are tied off to the proper fall protection when working at heights. Principle number four, this one's very personal to me. Never disable safety devices. Never turn off or pull out a wire or a cable or a fuse so that a light stops flashing. I'm sitting here in a wheelchair because I disabled and ignored a safety device, a flashing light that told me that my hydraulics were low. So not only can we manually disable them, but mentally, in our mind, we can disable safety devices. We can mentally disable safety devices by just ignoring them. Devastating people can damage families. So let's never allow ourselves to disable a safety device. And finally, number five, something that some of us think is way common, yet some of us abuse it to the core. Seatbelts is a must-wear for everybody at all times whenever you're in any piece of equipment or any vehicle. Doesn't matter what it is. Seatbelts required. Share that with your colleagues, share that with your friends. I just gave you 5 simple, basic, fundamental rules that are absolutely fundamental to every organization and association to allow us to be that much closer to closing the gap from a 2 incident rate or a 3 incident rate or a 1.1, closing that gap even closer to 0. We can use those 5 rules that are uncompromised, unconditional every site. We'll be that much safer. Until next week, roll with safety.